Welcome back, you guys. I'm Melissa. If you're just joining me here, I'm bringing back the OG repotting table. I use this in here all the time last summer, and repotting on the floor is getting to be a little bit of a pain. It's easier, but I think I'm going to be bringing this back and doing a lot of my repotting on this table, and I can sit down and it's just going to be so much easier. But for today's video, we are going to do a little bit of an Alocasia Care / repotting video. I have a few Alocasias that I want to go ahead and upsize. They're just going to be easy upsize. They're all in 5-inch pots, and we are going to go up to 6-inch. Normally I go up just 1 inch. When they're in a 5-inch pot, they tend to stay in there for a little while till they get pretty established and root bound, and then I will just slightly upsize. And then from the 6-inch, I usually go up to an 8-inch when it's time. I don't like to jump from a 5 to an 8-inch because I feel like it's a little bit too big of a jump. So I'd rather slightly upsize and then upsize again. And hopefully they can stay in the 6-inch until this time next year, but we'll see. Depends on the growing season and how quickly they outgrow a 6-inch, which it's not very much extra room, I know. But I'd rather go up slightly than just overwhelm the plant with such an excess of soil. I have another Alocasia that I wanted to do as well, and I have a tiny Alocasia of it that I grew from a corm in my cabinet. But last night when I was watering my cabinet, one of my phylos in there had spider mites. I guess I didn't catch it in time. And I was watering and I got to it and I'm like, oh my God, this thing is covered in spider mites. And the fans in there were blowing spider mites all throughout my cabinet. So I had to treat every plant behind me in my cabinet. So, and they landed on like some of my corms that were growing. So I don't want to reintroduce spider mites out of there in case there's still some remaining. So I'm gonna wait and do that one a different day. But the Alocasias that we're gonna do today, I have my Cuprea, I have my Alocasia Amazonica Poly. I haven't really featured that one much on my channel. And I also want to do my Maharani. They're all in 5-inch pots, like I said, and I'm just going to be slightly upsizing and adding just a little bit of fertilizer. I did add some fertilizer to them already, so I'm not going to be adding a ton, just like a little bit more. And I have my chunky mix here beside me. I did just add more orchid bark, perlite, charcoal, and leca because it wasn't chunky enough. I know I didn't want to make my mix as chunky, but my Alocasias just really like it, and I just want to stick with a really chunky mix for them. And then I also will take you to some other Alocasias and just kind of show you where they're at, kind of the lighting situation, and I'll show you my corms in my cabinet again. I guess to show you a little bit more kind of somewhat of my care with them. I just watered everyone last night, so nobody really needs too much of a drink today, but I'll just kind of show you the spots that I'm keeping them in, kind of the environment, the lighting situation, and all that, because I do get asked quite often about my Alocasias. I have some pretty big Alocasias in my collection. They've taken a long time to grow and get to this point, but I would say from last year to this year was the biggest jump in growth, and I just attribute that to this environment here, and they just really like it. The switch to an actual fertilizer, and just I have like a routine with them. I water them once a week depending on that week, I guess, and how warm it is outside. Like over the summer, I'm probably gonna have to be watering them twice a week, so we'll see, it all depends. Currently, it is 73 degrees in my plant room, which is not bad. Over the summer in here, it can get 10 degrees warmer in here pretty much every day. And we're at 53% humidity, which is okay. I've had it be 40 in here, 50, 60, 70s, even over 80%. So the humidity definitely fluctuates, and the temperature, I feel like the temperature is pretty consistent. Sometimes it can get in the 60s in here during nighttime, which is totally fine. It's just not every day like that, and there's not like a huge change. I'm not like taking them out and bringing them back in. They've been in their spot, and they've just gotten accustomed to just this plant room and the environment. So consistency is key, and just watering them on time, on schedule. And yeah, that's really all that I do for my alocasias. And again, in a chunky mix, I water very, very heavily. I give them a thorough drink, let them drain, and then put them back. But I'll kind of give you a little look at my alocasias and their setup here. But first, we're going to start repotting. I want to do my Cuprea first. I'm itching to upsize that one. It has a new leaf that's getting ready to come out. So just slightly upsizing isn't going to affect that leaf at all. I'm not going to go digging for corms. If there's some on the outside, I'll pull them off, but I'm not going to disturb the root system at all. Minimal stressing these plants. So I'm gonna grab my Cuprea and we'll get started. So this is my Cuprea. I bought this last year. I found it locally. Oh, I thought that was a new leaf. Is that a flower bloom? Oh no, I thought it was a new leaf. That is so deceiving. I for sure thought that was a new leaf coming in. It is a flower bloom. Oh, that's so disappointing. Oh, there's 2 blooms. I actually just cut a bloom off on this one. Ah. I was so excited this was going to be such another big, huge leaf. I don't really plan on pollinating Alocasia, at least not anytime soon. I don't really feel like that's something I want to do, at least not right now. I'd rather them focus on growing more leaves. Now the blooms can take energy away for them to like flower, and yeah, I'd rather just get rid of them. Okay, so here's that we have going on. So we have 2 blooms that I've uncovered. I just removed the caterpillar. So you have 1 bloom, 2 bloom, and there's like hopefully a growth point there. So all I do, you can use shears. They just snap right off. They usually just snap right off. And yeah, getting rid of the blooms. I was so excited. That was a leaf. It's okay. So my Cuprea I found locally before I moved, and it went under stress after I moved. I put it in my cabinet. It was down to 1 leaf, and it has slowly grown back since, and it now has 6 leaves. And I don't feel that it's overly root bound, but it's time to give it a little upsize, and I just think it's going to appreciate that for this growing season. So I'm going to take one of my 6-inch pots. I get these in a set off Amazon, these green ones. I just wish the lip, it was a little bit higher up. So I might do a search for some to see if I can find some like taller ones. Because my 5-inch ones are roughly, they're a little bit taller. So all we're going to do is basically just kind of gently press up. Whoa. Here's one right on the side here. There's a corm. I'm just going to pluck that right off. Oh, she big. Oh, here's another one. That was right on top. Very healthy root. Oh my gosh. Yeah, very, very healthy root system. Do you see? Look at that. Very healthy. I feel like it's not overly root bound, so I honestly could have left this Alocasia in here for a while longer. See, that's the thing that I don't like. You see these 6-inch ones? Like I barely, yeah, there's a lot of soil that fell in here, so I'm gonna have to remove actually quite a bit of that. I just feel like these ones don't sit as high as I would like. Oh, there's another corm. Oh, there's another 2 corm peeking out here. Oh, they came right off. Literally right on top. Those are some big corms. And you don't have to take the corms off if you don't want to. There's, you know, they'll eventually sprout if you leave them. I just like to take them out and grow them. I just think the baby alocasia leaves are so cute. And, you know, you can always grow them and give them away, or, you know, start a second plant with them. Since this vine is getting pretty heavy, I had it like leaning like that in the soil. I'm gonna get a stake to just help support this vine so it doesn't like flop all around. Because this pot isn't deep enough for it to really support itself. I'm going to use a little bit of fresh fertilizer. Yeah, I got it covered, but the soil is pretty much at the top of the pot. So I just have to be careful when I go to water. I can link these down below if you're interested. So I'm just going to support the vine on this side where it's leaning a bit. I like these acrylic ones because they're somewhat invisible, like you can't really see them. And then this is just like a elastic, it's almost like fishing line, but it's stretchy. You can use Velcro or you know, whatever you want to use. And then I'm just going to slightly tie this around the stake just to support that. I like this again too, just because for the invisibility factor. This stuff is harder to tie though, because it wants to come undone. So, but once you kind of, you know, figure it out, it's easier to work with. And there I have a supported alocasia that's been slightly upsized. I did just water this plant, like I said yesterday, so I'm not going to give any fresh water. I'm going to let the soil go mostly dry, and then I will give some fresh water. I will probably do the corms off camera because I feel like I've done several of like the corm videos, you know, peeling them, and I'm just going to put them in Fluval. So I will save all my corms for last and do those off camera, and then I will show you what they look like once they're all set up in Fluval, and I'll show you my other ones that are in my cabinet too. So I'm going to move these ones off to the side. Alocasia number 2 we are going to upsize is the Amazonica or Polly. And this one I feel like I've had for a while, but it's been kind of slow to get going. I do have a new leaf kind of back in here that you can see right there. And I did add 2 corms in here last summer, which are these 2 on the side. So I think I'm just ready to upsize this plant again and get it growing more. I would love to have a variegated one of these one day. This one can be a little bit more finicky. I feel like it's more prone to fungal spread. I do have a couple leaves here that I've treated that had some like fungal spread happening, probably just from lack of airflow and it being so humid in this space. So I try to keep a fan going 24/7 in here. I have it off right now since I'm filming. And then I try not to let water sit on the leaves for very long if, you know, they're not going to dry in time, because that can lead to a fungal spread. So I just feel like fungal spreads often get overlooked on alocasias. See what we're working with. Again, not super root bound. See 1 corm here off the side. Go ahead and take that off. It's another little baby one. Yeah, so this one had roots coiling down here on the bottom, so I would say this one probably was wanting an upsize, probably more than the Cuprea. So I think it's definitely going to appreciate the, just, you know, the slight upsize. That one fits better in here. So I'm just going to backfill with what I took off already. It's going to be so exciting watching my plants grow this summer. One thing about this new fertilizer I've noticed, the little balls, they tend to break open more easily. So I know it says it lasts for 9 months, but I've noticed them opening quicker, at least some of them, so I don't know if that's just how it is with this one or if they're getting more fertilizer up front. I don't know. I'll be curious to know how I like it compared to Osmocote, if I notice a lot more growth. Oh, whoops, I meant to add a little bit more in here. And again, I'm not adding a lot because I had already added fertilizer in here. This was a very easy upsize. There. It's done, just like that. And again, I'm not watering this one because I don't want to overwater because I just watered these. So today is Sunday, it's the weekend, so probably around Thursday or Friday, I'm going to give it like 4 or 5 days and I'm going to see how the soil moisture is. It's a little cold this weekend here, so we're not quite like, we're not even like into spring yet, so it's not as hot as it would be over the summer. Once it gets like 80+ degrees in here, I'll be watering these guys twice a week. The last repot of the day is this Maharani. You guys, I still remember buying this Maharani. This is probably, besides my Regal Shields, it's a toss between this one and my Regal Shields on my oldest one. I don't quite remember. I think my Regal Shield is my oldest, and this is my second oldest. I remember when I bought it, it had a couple tiny leaves. They were so tiny, like, I don't know, just a little bit bigger than my thumb maybe. It was such a tiny plant when I bought it. And look at it now. It is absolutely mind-blowing that it's gotten to be this size. It's held on to so many leaves. I think it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It has 8 right now because one of the original ones yellowed the other day. And I have a corm right here popping off on the edge. So I'm gonna go ahead and pluck that one right off. And I feel like this one's definitely root bound, and I can feel a corm right here popping out. It does have a growth point here in the middle. I did cut off a flower bloom recently, so I hope that's not another flower. But this one has been pretty easy. Honestly, you guys, my Alocasias, like, I feel like besides fungal issues, I don't really get a lot of problems with my Alocasias. Oh yeah, she was the most root bound. I know they can be prone to, oh, that big corm. I got a couple right here I'm gonna pluck off. Yeah, I know they're prone to pests, like spider mites. So, oh, hi, Lulun. Hi. Hi, Lulun. Hi, girlfriend. Here's another one down here. But I just stay on top of checking and, you know, just treat anything early. As soon as, the earlier you catch an outbreak, the better you'll be, because then you can kind of contain it and control it and get rid of them. Oh, here's another one on this side that's squished. I have lots of Maharani corms. And it probably has more in here, but Like I said, I'm not going to go digging and disturbing this plant. Wow. So yeah, definitely going to appreciate an upsize for sure. Hi, Woo Woo. Luna has been having like, I don't know how to describe it. She's been having, so I took her, it's been 5 days since she went back to the vet, and we're basically just waiting for the steroid to wear off that she got from, she got it 2 to 3 weeks ago to see how she does. So she hasn't had much improvement. I feel like she's improved, but she's like still not wanting to walk a whole lot and put, just with like the joint pain that she's having. So I feel like she has bad days where she just is laying around all the time and is tired and is sleeping a lot and doesn't want to walk. And then she has better days where she's more active and out with us and walking a lot more. So today is a better day. I've been so happy to see her just walking around. She had like a little strut this morning, which she hasn't done. She has been getting around as far as like jumping onto lower ledges. So Luna likes to jump and sleep on high things, whether it be tables, chairs, you name it. So she started like jumping up on things. She's jumped on the bed. She slept with us a couple of times. What else? Oh, she actually, the other night, she wanted to drink out of the bathroom faucet, which Luna does that all the time. She loves to drink out of the faucet. So I don't know, it's like little things make me so happy, and then I'm like, I get like kind of like, why is this happening to you? I just want to know what's going on or what's caused this so that I can do any and everything I can to prevent it from ever happening again, you know? But I'm glad she's better today. It just makes me feel better. Because when she's not feeling well, then I feel like, then I'm not feeling well. All right, it's another upsize complete. Yay! I like this one. Very beautiful. I love the texture of this one. The texture is so cool on that. Ugh, it's beautiful. This one is actually, I think, a hybrid of the Mellow and something else. But I feel like this one has been pretty easy. I feel like as far as alocasias go, it hasn't been finicky, and I feel like it grows steadily. I don't feel like it's a pest magnet. I haven't had like any issues with this one at all. All right, I will do these corms off camera. I have 5 Maharani, 2 of the Poly, and 4 of the Red Secret. I'm gonna get those put in Fluval and then get this mess kind of cleaned up, and then I will take you to my alocasia area and kind of show you more of the light they're getting, again, like how I'd water them, and some other like tips and tricks I have, I guess. I have all 3 kitties in here. Look at them, aren't they cute, laying in the sun? Here's the corms. I got them all put in Fluval. These were the Cuprea corms, and I mixed the Amazonica and the Maharani. Those 2 on the end are the Amazonica ones. But just a safe space, I just put them together. We're just gonna put these in our cabinet here. I had a spider mite outbreak in here, you know, as I was saying, from a philo. So some of my alocasias got spider mites on them. But I sprayed them off and stuff, so hopefully they're gone and they won't come back. But my cabinet is running. I had the doors open for a while before this, but it's only 74 in here right now, but usually it stays in the 70s, and then humidity usually stays in the 70s too. And you can see all the other corms there. That leaf is popping out. So in my cabinet, I probably have to water these guys twice a week, and they're under a Barina T8, and you can kind of see how close the light is from them. So they get a lot of bright light in here. Turn that one a bit so it doesn't get burnt. These two Alocasias over here aren't getting enough light, like my fried egg. Even though there's a light up ahead, it's still not enough. I have one extra mother light that I currently have in front of my plants that I put outside because I had to bring them in over the past few days. So whenever I get that light back, I'm going to put it here so it shines on this area. Because my fried egg was, you know, up here where my aria is. You can see how bright that sun is coming in. So back here in the corner, it's not getting enough. They just appreciate a lot of bright light, and you can see my Regal Shield is getting some light on it. I just watered my Regal Shield, so the soil looks pretty wet on top. I didn't water my fried egg yet. I felt like it was not quite ready to be watered. I'm gonna give it another day or two, and then I'll probably water that one. Here's a new leaf. Isn't it beautiful? So gorgeous. So the fried egg tends to droop. I can tell it's probably getting thirsty here soon. I can tell it's wanting to droop the lower leaves. So I'll probably water it actually tomorrow. I just didn't want to water it too soon. Once it's watered, it kind of perks back up a bit and straightens back out. The rest of my Alocasias, let me move this, are here. And so I have my big silver dragon, and then you saw me repot the Amazonica, and my Cuprea is there on the end, and the Maharani dragon scale, and then the new Heterophylla. So you can see some of them don't fit under here, like my Amazonica. Now that the pot is higher up, because they don't fit in the original pots, these held my 5-inch ones really well, but the 6-inch ones don't fit in them that well. But I have a spot in the middle where there's no light so that the top leaves aren't getting burnt. My silver dragon, you can see how close it is to the light. It's within like a few inches. And same with the bottom ones. And you can kind of see, I did burn the top of my Cuprea there because it was too close. So they're pretty close to the light, I would say. And this is the other one that I wanted to repot. So I'm going to repot that one and add that little baby one I had in there with it because it's a dragon scale, just to kind of fill that one out more. So standing back, you can kind of see the Cuprea is obviously too big for this spot, but I don't really have another spot for it right now. And it kind of gets some light from that grow light up ahead, and there's one here. So they do kind of get ambient light all throughout my plant room. But for the most part, my Alocasias have been in this spot for a while and they really like it. Again, it's not as humid today. The humidity has dropped to 45% now, which isn't that great. But occasionally, you know, dipping down into the 40s is not a big deal because the humidity, like I said, usually stays above 50 in here, but occasionally with the weather, you know, it does dip down. And then when I go to water these guys, I usually will just, I can pick the pot up and feel how light it is, and then I usually can just tell by looking at the soil, and you know, I can stick my finger down in here. Usually I do the finger test to feel see if I feel any moisture, and if I feel moisture, then I won't water. So I let these guys go mostly dry, I would say, but I wouldn't underwater Alocasias because then you can stress them out. Letting them go mostly dry, but not to a point where you notice them like drooping too severely or, you know, just stressing, because then you're gonna get some yellowing leaves and them not being happy. So yeah, that's pretty much all of my Alocasia care. I honestly don't really feel like I do anything special. When someone suggests care tips for Alocasias, I always just recommend enough light. Even the plants on the shelf, I feel like they would appreciate more light, like the plants on the top in the window. If you have a bright window and can give your Alocasias bright light, I would set them a foot back from a west or south window if you're here in the northern hemisphere, and they're going to take off. Some can be more sensitive to direct light, so it just depends. You just have to watch your plants and just see how they respond. If they're, You know, if you feel like the light is too intense, they're getting burned and they're drooping when they're not thirsty. It could be too much light. And then just make sure you're feeding, make sure you're fertilizing, and don't oversaturate the soil, don't underwater too often. Check for pests. And I would say higher humidity isn't necessarily a must. I feel like they can tolerate lower humidity levels, but I feel like the temperature is probably just as important as humidity. I feel like keeping them in an environment where they're not cold, because most of our tropical plants like to be warm. So that's pretty much all the Alocasia care I have for you guys. I hope you found this helpful. I will link my Alocasia playlist down below in the description. I have lots of videos on Alocasias. I have corn videos, repotting, all kinds. I will save this video in there as well. But yeah, if you have any questions, definitely let me know. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys later.